All right, we got the band back together. It's NASCAR DFS weekend again. It's fast cars, fast money. And I'm here with Coop and Rich. And I don't know if any of you guys who watch these videos are in this NASCAR DFS contest as well. But there's a year-long NASCAR DFS contest going on right now on DraftKings. And it's a lot of these NASCAR, DFS touts that spend a lot of time doing this. I don't know how many people we got, like 75 people in there so far. And we just have been adding up the points week after week. So it's like a season long grind. And not only are you talking with someone who's been, up in the top third and I think he's ranked, what are you, 11th right now, Rich?
Yep.
Is that where you're ranked? Yeah. Top, basically, flirting with the top 10 all season long. But Coop over here has been in first place ever since the contest started. So, and then myself, I think I'm like 30th or something right now. So all of us are in the top third of this contest. But I thought that was pretty cool. So when you guys are listening to the videos, I'd mainly pay attention to what Coop has to say.
I don't know about that, Andrew. You make my mind up when I'm making these lines too. I love hearing your guys' input, and it affects my lines every single week.
Yeah, so and that's what this is all about. I mean, it's all having fun, and if we can win some money at the same time, it's that's best of both worlds. But hopefully, you guys watched our truck video. If not, it's on our YouTube channel. If you're watching this video, you're obviously on it. If not, subscribing to the channel allows you to see these new videos as we're putting them out every week, whether it's the truck series, Xfinity series, or the Cup series. Any comments or questions you have, drop them down in the comments below. We'll make sure we get to them before the slate locks, or over on Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM. We'll be posting kind of our final thoughts there, and potentially any lineup changes and complications and implications for the lineup on Sunday. But let's get into the preview. So we're at Richmond. Richmond is a short, flat track. It's the same package they just ran at Martinsville. But if you're comparing Richmond to another track on the schedule, at least that they've run so far this year, you really want to look at Phoenix, I would say, is 1A, and then Martinsville would kind of be 1B. These are two shorter, flatter tracks where you're running the same package that, looking at a Homestead isn't going to do you too much good when you're comparing, who ran well at Homestead versus who ran well at Phoenix. Like, you want to look at who ran well at Phoenix and Martinsville and transfer that over into this Richmond race. There aren't as many laps as there were at Martinsville, but there's still a ton. So dominators are more important than place differential again this week. So we really want to make sure we're getting those lap leaders into your lines. Even though Denny Hamlin didn't win the race last week at Martinsville, he was the top play because he led the most amount of laps. And we want to try to, nail those guys into our lines to make sure that we're cashing. So don't overpay for place differential. Focus mainly on guys who have the potential to lead laps and just try to fit them into your lineups, even if it looks a little bit risky. If they somehow get up front and maybe is a lower owned, your line is just going to automatically pass by all the other guys that are chasing those kind of attractive place differential plays. Richmond's a track that usually has long green flag runs. I'm not really expecting a lot of cautions. I'm expecting a lot of these drivers to go laps down. So that's another thing too, when you're focusing on kind of the value in the punt plays. Let me put my laptop in charge real quick. Don't want it dying midstream. But yeah, when you're looking at the value in the punt plays, focus more on guys who have maybe the option or the potential or the equipment to mainly stay on the lead lap, or maybe only be one lap down. If you get trapped multiple laps down, you're going to really struggle to move forward. So all right, let's start with you, Rich. Like we always do, you're always our go-to guy for these top expensive guys. Looking at Keselowski, Truex, and Hamlin this week. That's what DraftKings has decided are the best plays on the slate. But where's your head when you're evaluating these three guys up here?
So I know a lot of people are going to think Brad Keselowski is overpriced at $12K here. But him starting 20th gives you that place differential upside. And Richmond is one of his favorite tracks, if not his favorite track. So I have no problem playing Brad K here because with him starting 20th, he's going to finish in the top 10 somewhere. And he gives you a great chance of dominator points as well. And then going down to Truex and Hamlin, they're starting on the front row. It's between these guys, it's really depending on who you think gets the early lead. And last week I thought it was going to be Joey Logano, and I missed out. So it could be either one of these guys. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to play either one of them. I think I'm right now thinking about playing Brad Keselowski the most out of these top three. But I have no problems with Truex or Hamlin this week.
I am all about Brad Keselowski for he's the most expensive, but he's starting 20th and he'll get you. He's going to move up and he's going to have a good finish. So I have no problem paying up for him. The past couple weeks, though, we've seen the first and second place drivers down in maybe the 9K range, low 10K range. This is the first week in a while where we've had somebody that's on the pole and in second place this high of a price tag with them. So, and just last week Denny did really, really well, and he was starting second and got you a lot of laps led and had a very good finish. But just week after week in general, we've seen the front row struggle. If they miss the setup, they're going to fall. And in this race in particular, you've got 3 Hendricks cars hot on their heels. And I just think it's a GPP only play for me. I think it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, both of you great points there, and that's I think why you guys are leading the charge when it comes to this season-long contest. I love hearing the thought process there, and I love Keselowski. He's probably my favorite of those 3 guys. Yes, or no, he's probably not going to get that early lead, but that's okay. He's been talking about Richmond for weeks now. This is his favorite track. If you remember, he ran really, really well here last year. Team Penske as a whole usually runs pretty well at these high horsepower, low downforce package tracks that we run. So yeah, he's expensive, but I mean, starting 20th, he should easily be able to move forward, and he has the potential to lead laps. Whereas if Truex, like Truex, if you look at Phoenix and Martinsville, yes, Truex, won Martinsville, and he ran well at Phoenix. He finished well at Phoenix, but he didn't really lead you a ton of laps. Like, he didn't unload that great. Like, he unloaded in the ballpark, but he wasn't that top guy immediately. And if he's not again this week, starting first, he's going to move backwards. And you really want to just try to get that lap leader in there. So it's not a guarantee that he's going to be leading, especially with the guys that are starting behind him, like Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, even William Byron. Like, these are all great cars. It's not like he's paired next to like Ryan Preece or, Austin Dillon or something on the front row. Like, I think any of these guys have potential to lead laps. So you really have to mix around a little bit. Joey Logano disappointed a ton of people, myself included, at Martinsville. So maybe that's going to lower his ownership this week. Maybe people will jump on the Truex and Hamlin train. So maybe things switch this week. Who knows? So I like, I don't mind Logano, but it's just, it's tough to look at Phoenix and look at Martinsville and see how he's ran and trust him as your main dominator in your lineup. Like, I like Keselowski, but if you're paying up for Keselowski, it's hard to get another one of these really expensive guys. You have to focus more on, kind of the bottom 10 or even this 9K range to kind of get that value. And my favorite play is probably Kyle Larson. I'm focusing the most on Phoenix. And if you guys remember the Phoenix race, that was the race that I believe Larson won that race, but he was flying through the field. He easily had the fastest car. And I think he could bring that same speed to Richmond. And he's cheap enough that you can pair him with Keselowski, who gives you a little bit more place differential. And then Kyle Busch, he hasn't been the same guy for almost going on 2 years now. We're so used to plugging Kyle Busch in as a easy, high potential of him dominating, but that's just not the case these days. I feel more confident in all the guys starting above him leading laps than I do about Kyle Busch. But who do you guys like between Logano, Larson, and Busch there? Any interest in those guys?
He's probably the best of the Hendrick cars right now, slightly ahead of Chase Elliott. I think at the beginning of this year, he was using all of Chase Elliott's setups and just making minor adjustments to his driving style, and it's worked out for him tremendously so far this year. A lot better for him than it has for Chase anyway. So I like him a lot. He's a potential dominator for this race, and he gives you a couple place differential points there too. And to touch on Kyle Busch a little bit more, this guy really needs practice. We've said this a few times in previous videos, but it takes him most of the race to get his car where he wants it. And by that time, for DFS standards, it's not really going to help you because he's not going to get any dominator points. He can finish top 5, but a top 5 at $10,000 or 10,000 salary isn't going to help you that much. So in this range, I really like Kyle Larson. I'm off of Logano for a few weeks because he burned me. So.
Yeah, Logano is up and down, though. You got to remember that. You know, he could bounce back and have a great race this week. So I don't have a big issue with Logano. I think he's a great GPP play. But I'm with you guys. Larson's my favorite out of this range, and I'm going to have a lot of Larson. And I'm just going to roll right into the 9Ks too. Kyle Busch, and I'll loop Kevin Harvick into there too. You know, last year it was Harvick. A couple years ago it was Busch, and they were the guys you'd plug in every week because they had the best chance of winning. And people are still putting a large percentage of lines still have Harvick and Busch in them, and it's pretty clear to me at least they just don't have the stuff. That the equipment's not there, you know, and they're just not getting it right. So I'm off of both of them. Chase Elliott. With that being said, Team Hendricks has killed it this year. I'm all about Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, Byron, and Larson. They've been phenomenal week in and week out, and you're getting the price that you're paying for them. So I really like Chase Elliott. I really like Kyle Larson. And then Ryan Blaney's has been running well recently too, and I think he can have a good finish here.
Yeah, Blaney, if he didn't have that, was a pit road hose or whatever that was, late in that Martinsville race, it would have been interesting to see him contend with, Hamlin, Truex, and Elliot for potentially the win there. So he had a really fast car, and maybe people are just going to be focusing on that finishing positions, and they might, forget about Ryan Blaney a little bit. But he's Team Penske has this package dialed in. He's cheaper than Logano. He's cheaper than Keselowski, and I feel pretty confident that he can get out there and potentially be a lap leader for you. And at his price, he's pretty easy to fit in the lines. Chase Elliott, he hasn't won this year, and he's coming off a championship year, so maybe our expectations of him are a little bit too high. But he's consistently shown good speed, and it's only a matter of time before he gets his first win. So I don't remember the last time Chase Elliott was priced at 9.7. Usually he's a little bit more expensive than that. So I love the price savings there. And yeah, unfortunately, just Kevin Harvick don't have any interest. And then did you talk about these guys yet, Rich? I don't think you did, right?
No, I haven't. Chase Elliott, love all the Hendrick cars. We're basically off of Stewart Haas for the time being until we see more out of their cars. And then, like you guys said, Ryan Blaney was really fast last week until the pit road incident, and I have no problem with him starting 7 because he can easily get up top and lead laps as well. Then moving on down here, Alex Bowman, part of Hendrick Motorsports, starting 24th. I have no problem playing him. Pretty sure he was pretty good at Phoenix this year. I don't have the stats in front of me right offhand. But starting 24th, he's a top 10 car. He can easily be up there. He's not going to get you any dominator points, so you just got to remember that if you're playing him. Same thing with Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric starting in the back. He's basically the 5th Penske car this week if we're including Matt DiBenedetto. He's starting at the very back of the field. He's a good PD play, but with these races that have a lot of laps, we need dominators. So I would probably only play him in cash style games, or only have a handful of lineups with him in it. I like William Byron. Again, all the Hendricks cars are solid. No problem with playing William Byron. Kurt Busch starting 17th. He's a top 12 car. Can easily move up, give you a few points. $8,300 is a pretty cheap price for Kurt, in my opinion. Eric Almirola, Stuart Haas. We don't really like any of those cars that much. And then Matty D. He's the fourth, fifth, whatever you want to call him. The 21 car is part of Penske, so they've always been fast on the short tracks. I got no problem playing Matty D here. 16th, maybe if he started 20th, I'd probably be a little bit more on him. He can finish top 15, might not pay off the $8,000 salary though.
Go ahead,
Coop.
Agreement with most of what you're saying there, Rich. I really like Alex Bowman. I really like this upper 8K range, and I might be a little higher on Cindric than you guys too. I think Austin Cindric can stay on the lead lap or stay near position to be the driver that gets the pass through. So I really like Cindric. I think he's going to be somebody that'll pay off the price regardless of whether it's cash or GPP, but super safe play. And unless he wrecks, I mean, he's going to pay off that price tag. He should be a top 20 driver. Really like Byron. I think he's a fantastic GPP play. He could lead laps. His cars looked fast all year. And I still think he's a little underpriced too. And Kurt Busch, I say it every week. If my line ends on Kurt Busch, I'm a happy camper. I'm just going to go with it. He's solid. He's just very, very consistent. And Almirola, again, Stuart Haas, I could see those cars going a lap down. So I'm not really interested in any Stuart Haas, like you said. And Matthew Benedetto, I'm not really interested in as much because below him, I have a lot of interest in Christopher Bell. But I'll wait till we get to the 7K range to talk about him.
Yeah, for me, it basically kind of comes down to, all right, if I'm looking at this range, who can lead laps? And there's really only two guys in here that I would have, some confidence in, and that's going to be Alex Bowman and William Byron. So that's where a bulk of my ownership's going to go. Not that I don't like the other plays that you guys mentioned as well, but just from an upside standpoint, if Bowman or Byron come and have good speed and they get out front, like they're just going to be racking up points, and they have the potential to do that. So I'm going to try my hardest to go out of my way, even if it is paying an extra $200 or $300 to get up there. Like Coop said, Christopher Bell, another guy who I really like. Again, chances of him leading laps aren't high, but the potential is there. $7,800. He starts 8th, so maybe that's why DraftKings is pricing him down. But I mean, he's good at these short, flat tracks, and not that road courses translate super close, but he won the Daytona road course, and those are short, kind of flat turns where it's all about entering and getting on the throttle at the right time, getting the power down, and that's what Richmond's all about. So a JGR car at $7,800, I'll take that all day long. Eric Jones is a good place differential play, starting 30th. Might get trapped a couple of laps down, but starting 30th, he can't really hurt you too much. Austin Dillon starts a little bit too close. Bubba Wallace, decent equipment, starts 15th, so he might finish around where he starts. It's a little bit more of a risky GPP only play. Tyler Reddick starts a little bit too close to the front. And then Newman's been decent this year, but again, him starting 19th, I don't really know how much more upside he might have than that. So I'm assuming Christopher Bell is probably the favorite play out of this range.
Definitely for me. I really like Christopher Bell. If he doesn't have an issue, he's giving you a top 10 every week, and top 10 for $7,800. I'll take that any day of the week. I really think until his price goes up, I'm going to be playing a lot of Bell. I've been playing a lot of Bell, and it's been working out for me really well. So I'm all about Christopher Bell. Eric Jones is okay. I could see him being another guy that gets caught a lap down, and he's been either running well or not running well, and it's a risk. And then you went through some of these other guys. The only other guy I might have some interest in, Ryan Newman. Roush has been having a really good year. They're looking a little faster this year than they were last year, and they've been driving well. So maybe some interest there, but I'm not going out of my way to get them.
Yeah, I don't really have much interest in this range other than Christopher Bell, and I'm not as high on him as you guys are this week. I don't mind Ryan Newman. He actually ran pretty well last week in Martinsville. He was in the top 15 for most of the race, but forget what happened that he didn't have a great finishing position. I think he might have got caught up in that one big wreck there at the end where we had the parking lot. Yeah, but otherwise, this range isn't really my favorite. So moving on, though, to this 6K range, Cole Custer in a Stewart Haas car, not interested at all. But Daniel Suarez, this 99 car is fast. We love that word fast. He's been fast every week. He's outperformed a lot of people's expectations this year. I have no problem playing Daniel Suarez. I'll probably have a lot of him in my lineups. Chase Briscoe, I know we have him at none there. We might want to bump him up to low. He is in a Stewart Haas car, and we don't really like the Stewart Haas cars. But at $6,400 starting 26, he can finish top 22 and give you enough salary relief to get back up there and get another higher price guy. Ricky Stenhouse. Surprisingly, Ricky Stenhouse is not wrecked at all this year. I don't know if we've ever gone this far in a season that Ricky Stenhouse is not wrecked. And he's finished in the top 20 in every race. So if you think that trend continues, I have no problem with Ricky Stenhouse either. And then Chris Buescher and Ross Chastain, they're just starting a little too high up this week for me to have much interest in them.
Yeah, fire up Stenhouse for me. I'm going to be playing a lot of Stenhouse. It's been working out so far with the previous weeks, and if he can keep that top 20 streak alive, he's going to be a good play. But yeah, my favorite play, probably even more than Stenhouse, is Suarez. We've just seen this 99 car come to the track with good speed. They never give up. They keep fighting. They're really trying to make a name for themselves. They're making great strides as a brand new team. And they have, a lot of momentum behind them. There's a lot of people over there that are excited. They're happy. Looks like they're having a great time. Not saying that, 2311 and Bubba Wallace aren't having a great time, but it just seems like their expectations were so high coming into this season that even though he hasn't run terrible, it almost appears that way just because of the expectations that were put in place. Whereas people were wondering if Suarez's car was going to be, kind of like the Gaunt brothers car was last year in the 96 and kind of be another back marker. And that hasn't been the case at all. And $6,600, he's easily, a guy you can fit into a lot of lines. So for me, the only two guys I'm really playing in this range are going to be Stenhouse and Suarez.
I'm right there with you, boys. I don't dislike the other guys in this range either. I think it's a fair price for Chastain. I think it's a fair price for Buescher. Buescher's been running great this year, but man, Stenhouse, we were seeing for this price, and he was starting sixth, the last couple weeks. So it's great to have him back at 14th. And you guys mentioned he's been hitting top 20s. He's been hitting top 15s regularly. So at 6,200 for a top 15 with some upside, count me in. And same with Suarez. He's an easy top 15. He's got easy top 15 potential too. They've been running great all year. So I'm all about those plays. And then moving down below those, maybe I play McDowell, LaJoie, and Priest, but I wouldn't go any further than that. And if I can stay up and use Stenhouse, Suarez, and maybe some other of the value plays we mentioned earlier, that's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, a lot of these punt plays down here, I feel like Corey LaJoie is going to be so high owned. And yes, he starts 36. Yes, he isn't going to kill your line of even if he finishes 30th. But if that's the case, I mean, this is a Spire car. Let's remember, it's the same equipment that Justin Haley's in. So if you're not going to play Justin Haley starting 34th, why should we make the argument to play Corey LaJoie starting 36th? I don't really see that much of a difference, between the two of them, honestly. And I feel like a lot of people are going to pick LaJoie as their punt play this week. So if he's going to be high owned, a lot of people are going to be on him. Why don't you just pivot off of him, maybe to a Ryan Priest? Like, yes, he might be a little bit riskier because he starts 25th, but I'd argue the finishing potential of Ryan Priest is a lot higher than Corey LaJoie. I mean, Ryan Priest is in the same equipment as Stenhouse is in, and Stenhouse is having a career year. So if some of that setup and, momentum that they have in the 47 gets transferred over to the 37, that's going to be a good day for you. And I don't think a lot of people are going to play Priest. Alfredo starts too high. We've just seen him be a mess all year long. McDowell has really cooled off. I like to focus on him more at the 1.5s. And yeah, if you're in the Garrett Smithy range or below, pump your lineup back up and readjust it. Because remember, Richmond, there's long green flag runs. These guys are going to go multiple laps down. They're going to be irrelevant because the only way these guys ever work out is if there's a lot of wrecks. And Richmond usually is a track that doesn't really have that many wrecks. So if you're getting down in this range, go back up and kind of readjust the driver pools and the drivers that you have in your lineup.
You know what? You mentioned something there, though, Andrew. I totally skipped over Justin Haley there. I don't mind him. At that price, I don't mind Justin Haley there. He's been consistently getting into the top 30, sometimes breaking around the top 25. And for $5,200, I mean, he's a skilled driver. And he'll probably be some laps down, but I don't mind him at that price. I totally skipped over him, so I'm glad you mentioned him. And you're right. I would rather have Haley than LaJoie. And if we're going to have, if LaJoie's going to have the ownership, I'd much rather pivot and play Haley.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough with all these guys. You're really only playing them to get the higher price guys. So you just want to pick the guy that's not going to kill your line. It's not going to wreck out of the race. Yeah, you guys are kind of off Corey LaJoie. I'm a little bit more on him. I think he'll be chalky as well. So he might be more of a cash play this week. But he was running well last week at Martinsville. But he got caught up in that late wreck, I remember. So, but other than that, yeah, Ryan Preece is solid. He's been running pretty decently this year, a lot better than I thought he would be. Maybe he can finish in the top 20. That might be a bit of a stretch, but he can 21st, 22nd. It's not going to kill your line. He might get a couple fast laps if he's got a pit sometime in the middle of the race.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for Fast Cars, Fast Money Richmond weekend. So happy to have, both Coop and Rich back. We've been kind of, piecing it together over the last couple of weeks based on, different travel schedules, mainly my own. So, it's my fault there. But yeah, hopefully everyone does well. If you haven't checked out the truck video, check that out. And as always, we really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving us so far. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Good luck,
everyone.